beloved Ascension Pioneers, and welcome to another one of the Wisdom from the Stars video series where I wish to talk about our galactic missions. So this week I am actually in the middle of writing up my new course, which is about the galactic signature and reading our star map. So reading our soul print and what actually this means for us on a personal level, but also how to expand in a more galactic sense of mission. So this will be available soon. I hope to get it all recorded this weekend, and I will of course let you know. I'll notify when it's available, because I've been promising this since last year. At first, when I got all this guidance, when I was moving into this direction and these star codes and all of that for Spirit, remember I shared with you that there will be these star readings available, but then Spirit showed me no, it's time for everybody who's in this journey of galactic unseating and unveiling to activate themselves, to learn how to utilize their own map, their own star map, how to read it, how to read these divine signature, and how to actually work with our own soul alchemy this way. Because this is the old way, doing readings and soul prints for others. We all who are in this path of ascension need to, in a way, master ourselves so that we learn these basic it's just the necessity of how we function now, how we actually learn to work with the never-ending story of our conscious expansion. So today I wish to share a bit on that note of our galactic mission, which is beyond just this, what we know sometimes as personal or earthly mission. As sometimes we have this perception of needing to achieve in this realm of existence, of needing to always show certain results, to do things, because even when you read books like, Impressions from Dolores Cannon's books, there's the infinite questions always there. What's the person's purpose? We always ask ourselves. But the thing is that too often we get too wrapped up in this, what we perceive as the purpose, that what we need to do, what is our job, what is our physical activity, how do we utilize it. When we come here in the physical expression, in physical form, we come here to bring the energy to make things manifest. That is a very important purpose of all of us. But the thing is, how we work with the energy will be very specific and unique for all of us. So, for example, on my journey, I had to learn by reading my own star print and by reading my own, through my own intuition, developing this system of understanding myself and how I function was so beneficial. Instead of comparing what you think it's supposed to be like in Ascension, what others are supposed to be, how you're supposed to be doing things that others are doing and what you're perceiving they're doing. And the more we learn how we function in the most basic sense of our core creation self, then we will start to more understand, how this is for us. Because not everybody's purpose will be the same. For example, I'll give you one example from my own path. As I remember a few years ago, I met this woman, and she said to me that I'm almost half ethereal. This was my imprint, and she was doing a little of the Mayan symbology just by me telling when's my birthday. Some people, who have developed these tools, they can assess things very fast. So when I went through many different stages of my personal evolution and growth and starting to understand myself better and deeper, I felt that, what I came here to seed will not necessarily be how others are doing what they're doing. Because the thing is that we all, in a way, in the greater purpose, the greater scheme of things, we came here to be the seed of unity, to be the seed of oneness. But we all carry unique gifts, and we will all be emerging from the ring of fire in our own this deep individuality. And that is when we're going to teach in the course that there is no way to be and exist within unity without first really knowing your uniqueness, because we became these unique expressions of Source for a reason. And although we can experience unity as well, we have a certain experience with it. Our path at this time and where we are is mastering this individuality, and how do we, as a unique conduit of light, how do we utilize these tools and resources that are available? They're a part of all, but they're available in a unique way to us. And why is it that way? And why is it so important? And also, we all function in certain groups, in these groups, or light councils in a way, however you may wish to call them. So we function in these greater collectives as well. And these collectives are part of a certain seeding energy that comes to this planet. So for me, I had to learn that I will always be, in a way, a bridger of these realities from material to material. So I will never, ever, ever fully get involved with most things that people are doing in a physical sense. I also sometimes thought, wow, I need to be part of that. But when I was a part of that, I didn't feel any divine inspiration there. It felt like a lack of energy. It felt empty. It felt void. So I knew that probably isn't my path. And it's not probably beneficial for me. That's just what I'll say. So when we work with our galactic understanding, we work with what is beneficial for us, because what that is will also be beneficial for the mission that is greater in a galactic sense, which means that we start to develop a sense of understanding on a much greater level that we've known before. But the path to personal mastery is the key to also understanding ourselves on a galactic level. So what I'm trying to say here, I'm going to give you one short example, is if you've seen the movie Jupiter Ascending, starring Mila Kunis, that's a great movie, because a lot of these stellar movies have different, very important star codes for us, because they're almost like created for us to unveil certain realities, to see what's possible, to see what's happening on a different multiversal levels, so to say. And it's almost like, you know, in her physical day-to-day life, she was cleaning people's places, so she was just cleaning. They were a part of the cleaning team, so that's what she was doing, apparently. But on a much greater sense, she learned that she's this galactic princess, and that she actually is, in terms of being through legislation, galactic, cosmic law, whatever, that she was able to become almost like an owner of Earth, you know, in a greater sense. Although I'm not trying to promote anything like that or any ownership here, but I'm just saying that it's kind of like an archetype here of the metaphor. It's very similar. So sometimes what we perceive of ourselves in the physical, for a lot of us, it's not just that. So we do a lot of this work, which is in a galactic sense, a greater galactic nature, on levels that won't always be apparent. So that's why when Spirit shared this message with me today, that not everything that we came here to see through our soul is about achievement. So manifestation that is a physical expression of that love, which we came here to see it as of the Christed nature we are in truth, then that expression won't always be something that we achieve, like a product, or, you know, sometimes we think that things always need to be eventful. There's always things needing to happen, you know, or you need to have a company, or you need to have a certain thing in the physical. What that means, that we came here to be the physical expression of the energy, because there needed to be a certain density which reacts with other forms of density, so that there is a correspondence and a correlation of energy, so there's a transfer happening. So like in Dolores' books, you know, many of these beings share that they needed to become physical embodiment of the beingness that they are, because that's how energy can be easily transferred. They couldn't do that if they were just spirit observer. So that's why a lot of us came here, especially the volunteer type souls. So what this means is that simultaneously there's a greater portion of our living reality happening that we won't always know what it is, but we have much tools that we can see these insights. And when I started working with my own galactic signature, I started to recognize these patterns, and I had a lot of aha moments why I am such and such, so it made a lot of sense for me. So in the course, I will show these things and examples to you, so you can develop your own inner vision, and as well working with these tools that they're just basically divine language, divine intelligence, that if we know how to use it, we're actually decoding ourselves. And it's almost like, if you've seen, you know, these movies they have, when they have these special, you know, almost like agents, that they don't know that even that they're agents. So when they plug or they put a certain code in them, they start to get activated, and once they're activated, they get all these skills and gifts and abilities when their time comes. So when we actually start to decode ourselves, we will see that there's many different things coming up to the surface. But a lot of these things are revealed to us in very specific divine timing. Like, I will share with you one more example. I had this dream this week. We have many galactic activations coming right now. This is after this, you know, it's this post 1111 gateway. It's amazing, because many things are starting to become apparent to us in the new, and many things we weren't even, you know, imagining possible before, but they're still more internal in nature, because we're in this preparation mode. But what this means is that things always happen as a seed, and then we start to get activated, and what follows activation is integration, which then later, through certain releasing of what we no longer are in our new integrated mode, leads to that new embodiment. So we have these basic steps So the seeding, the activation, the releasing, the integration, well, integration bringing, releasing, that's almost simultaneous, and then we have the embodiment. So in the embodiment is that physicality, that manifestation of the energy that we came here to carry as that seed, which doesn't necessarily mean it has to be something that's an achievement or a goal-oriented thing or something you need to have as a byproduct of that. So when we start to work with that, we'll start to work with the essence of who we are. Let's say we have someone who lives their bliss, does a lot of things, but it's not so apparent on the outside. So I remember having this star mark reading from the beings who are doing this. I was always told that most of my service comes from the background, and although I'm doing these videos, I'm sharing these things, I still like to keep very private about most of the things that I know, how I live. I'm not guided to do any things on a greater scenario like these workshops that people do or mass produce things. It's just not really my way, because most of the things that I'm doing are in the background, and there's a lot of preparation that goes in this work. So a lot of times we who have this galactic purpose will have many of these activations that will trigger a lot of body responses, and many times we will be so tired because there's immense things happening in our body, and we will have to really take the time to integrate those codes and to have an understanding of what's happening, because with each cycle we're going to get so much of that new, we're going to get activated, and with that activation will come a certain amount of work we need to do. So well, let's get to my dream. The dream was that there were beings coming, a young woman, a beautiful blonde young woman, and an older man who was of gray hair. And he started giving me this guidance. The whole idea was about giving guidance. So there were some things, almost like there was these buttons he pressed, and they become certain things that gave him guidance, and he gave me some guidance. And towards the end, it was a lot about love as well. Here's something I will share with you as well, because there's a lot of people who are still on this path of really unveiling the truth about what really is this true love in physical form and expression. So why certain things are important the way they are. And the thing was that she said at the end, wow, I'm receiving this guidance, you know, and then she asked me if I have someone to love, like on a soul level, and I said, well, not right now. And she was speaking about an intimate love relationship. And then she said, well, I've received this guidance that up until this point, you know, all the people you've met, you know, in those terms were not of the same manufacturing. And that was exactly the word she used, was manufacturing. And she said, now the next person you would meet would be of that same physical manufacture mode. And I was like, well, what does this mean? And she started talking about a certain star frequency. And as I woke up and I had this epiphanies coming later, it really made sense, because for a lot of us who walk this path, why is it so important also in the physical, why we get so much, you know, embodiment having to be done through us, is because these things do have physical value. So the DNA components also have to match. So when we start to work with our soul evolution from within, so this is soul alchemy, when you literally start to transform, you're getting deeper and deeper to the core of how you were seeded, because each and every one of us, although we came from the same birth canal, not the same one, but you know what I mean, we all got here in this similar matter, we carry these certain light quotients that become the physical expression of that light DNA through our bodies. So if, let's say, you meet someone and they don't have that matching DNA, you don't act as a, you know, like a locket and that key. There's not this direct correspondence, so there will never be that same harmony, because the physical embodiment is important. I see a lot of people who fall in love, let's say, for the people, or they recognize them as their soulmates or future potential partners, whatever it is, and they see this potential within them, but they don't yet embody that, and it is important. So a lot of times, you know, the nature of this is because we have that exchange of energy even with those beings who might not have that same manufacture. What that means is we all have a very specific stellar origin as well, and these codes translate directly in a unique way through us. And that's why maybe with some people we meet, although we can feel unity with them, we can feel enjoyment with them, but we don't feel belonging to them on a physical level, if you know what I mean. That doesn't mean we cannot be unified, it can be harmonized, because these can still be relationships, but I'm talking about this basic, when there's almost like a joining of purpose that is similar, matches on every level, which in truth, it's in the end, it's always pure chemistry. So when the being spoke about this same manufacturing, she spoke about chemistry. the body's chemistry and the way we transduce this light in a galactic sense, in a much bigger sense, but how it then becomes physical. So this was very interesting, and I still see that a lot of people don't have always this understanding, especially these people who say they're in this twin flame path and, you know, they're convinced somebody's their twin flame. What a lot of these people don't know is that we can become so fixated on this one person being this path, and in a general bigger sense, maybe they're completely chemically not right for us. So we're wasting we're using all our energy. I'm not saying wasting. She corrected myself, because in truth, you know, everything serves a purpose. There's never a waste. But we're spending so much time, effort, and energy in truth that we won't seek other potentials, because we only see that. And when we start to expand, we will start to really see that there is a bigger reality playing out here, and that maybe sometimes things aren't what they seem to be. So we need to allow them to see through. So when I received guidance from myself, and I said, but wait a minute, then why did I need to have these connections that I had? And they didn't really feel like relating to me on a soul level, but they were still there. Of course, a part of my evolution, how I developed in the physical. And Spirit said, well, the same way that I helped to plant a seed within their own matrix of their beingness, how they're structured as a being in totality, because there's something that they didn't yet develop or master. Of course, it all leads to that embodiment I spoke of in the beginning. They also brought me seeds, but on a more planetary, not planetary, but more physically rooted level, because I'm so ethereal in my nature that with each one of those, that when you come and you merge, you basically, what we believe is to be a merge only in a physical level, as we say, two people making love. That's not always the case, because the energetic merge is what, you know, what really is taking place in a bigger scheme of things. So when we have that merge with people, if it's something that is for our greater soul expansion, there will be this transfer of energy both ways, and we will always receive what we need to receive. That is why we sometimes don't understand on a human level why relationships end, and sometimes unexpected. Sometimes we say it's too fast, or we get attached to people when a certain transfer is complete with, and we alchemize this, and that's still not that harmonious let's say relationship or a being that we're supposed to walk on further with. Then they kind of will dissolve, they will move away from our life, but we can sometimes still be so attached to that. So we try to make that it, because there will be parts that will hook, almost like connections. But on a greater galactic sense, when we develop this understanding of these soul transfers, we will see, wow, we always receive what we need. So let's say I'm more ethereal in nature, and my purpose is very much, like Spirit said, you will never fully get physical in the way that people get in this density, because I'm leading to this new way, becoming lighter, more ethereal, so I need to stay where I am. Otherwise I wouldn't be doing this purpose, if you know what I mean. If I descended to the degree, that would actually not support this purpose anymore. So that's how they presented it to me, and it made total sense. And that's why a lot of times I felt even subtracted from many scenarios or from people, and in a way I love this way, the solitude, but not to the degree that I wouldn't be sharing what I'm doing, not doing the purposed work. Then I would feel unfulfilled. So you see, there's a very fine line here. And what this means is that I also, because this is a part of this physical embodiment and this path, I needed to develop certain things, like how we function through, how you embrace money, how you embrace certain parts of the physical life. So each time one of these connections brought that, and there was an exchange taking place. But a lot of times we don't see these exchanges. What we want is to see the potential for something that our mind projects, and that's not that thing that is really happening in a greater galactic level. When we understand ourselves in this sense, then we will also understand our relationships and how they play out in this bigger galactic scenario, and we will have a greater peace. We'll have a greater peace in our reality. So when you look at the nature of yourself and then how you relate to a certain being, what are the aspects you're playing out in that relationships, or what you like about them is usually something that you have yet to fully embody, or something that, you know, you're receiving through that transmission. And when you allow that to take place, it will be much more in flow, and you won't have those unnecessary attachments or codependency playing out. You will just feel the greater sense of you coming together, joining forces in a way for that time frame, and really being in peace with that. So it's very much a life of you know, when you get activated to that galactic sense, a life of seeing things through much bigger glasses. So it's like your view expands. And when you start seeing your galactic purpose in that way, you know you're doing things, you know, it's almost like how once they came in my dreams and they showed me this path, and they kept repeating to me, don't forget, you know, who you are, and you're a princess and all these things. And when I woke up, I was like, wait a minute, it doesn't feel like that in the physical sense. They said it's about an essence, it's who you are, you know. It's like when you have grace within you, it's an essence. It's not what you do, it's how you express it. It's people migrate towards you to feel that, to be in the feeling of that seed, which they later you help them, and they help themselves activate as well. So this is how it is in a bigger sense. I hope this makes some more sense, and I really look forward to this course which is coming up, because I really believe that in this new empowered sense, not just in terms of mastering our daily lives, because let's face it, what we do, you know, going to the grocery store, or driving our car, taking our daily walks, whatever we're doing, it's important. But it's not everything. It's not the totality of everything. These are all the things that we're kind of living as we go along the way when we're doing bigger things, if you know what I mean. So when we know and balance both, and when we are in this middle path of, you know, it's like this being within all, in this onion layered kaleidoscope in a way, then we can feel such greatness of our being. Just our existence is so important, and we forget that at times. We feel, okay, our life, you know, a lot of people say our life is just casual, random, or they say it's not very eventful, because we expect things of greater nature to be eventful. There's a lot of things happening behind the scenes in the background that we don't always see with our physical eyes, but we feel, we sense something happening. And because this, what's happening with the new earth and all this, needs to come to a certain density. You know, I just read this today in the Lord's books, that when they're working with this plasmic energy, that almost like this new earth is being birthed from, it needs to be specific density, it needs to be a specific frequency, so that it can be just at the right density where it's moving towards. It's very easy to understand that when you just feel it, when you don't get too mashed up in the thinking. You know, the thinking is always, okay, then what do we do about it in the physical? It's trusting that this process is already perfectly unfolding, and that what you're guided to do every day is already within that. Because the moment we go, oh, what am I supposed to be doing? I'm supposed to change something? And you know, that's the mind, that's mental. That's living your purpose, trying to get it, trying to mentalize it, which really isn't the greatness of your being, that just goes with the flow and understands the greatness and the importance in every single thing. It's the essence. It's not, sometimes people say, what am I supposed to do on these bigger dates or activation portals, or, you know, whenever, or when I'm starting to ascend? Is there something specific I'm supposed to be doing? Everybody has the same question, and it's always not what you do, but how you do it. So this is how this galactic sense of our mission starts to reveal ourselves in a, you know, more so subtle level. So about those relationship issues I mentioned, that a lot of people are still reporting to me about, or, you know, there's this fixed idea about fixed scenarios, because something's not happening, and yet people feel it's supposed to be happening. And we don't want to see behind the scenes why. You know, we don't want to face always that why is it not happening, you know. Because the thing is, in our heart we know, but we don't always want to face those things, because there's still something. If we're still, it's like almost that pending phase. When things are pending, it means that we still didn't come into terms of what's really going on here. Because the moment we do, half of the job is already done. The energy flows through. We are transduced, and we assimilate the codes we need to assimilate, and we move on in a greater, expanded way. So it's basically very simple. And I hope to get your attention with this course, because yeah, I spent a lot of time investing in it this year, and so now it's this last stage of putting it together, making it physical, so that you can all activate yourselves through the codes that you can receive from that. It will be very simplistic for everybody to understand, and I will announce it once it's complete. So enjoy your beautiful earthly lives, bigger scenarios. It's all happening simultaneously. It's your essence that radiates. It's not just things that need to happen as events, because a lot of times what I see is people have these oracles, right? And what they share in specific guidance, especially they do oracles like for these earth signs, water signs, fire signs, air signs. A lot of times I see they're focus more on the actual physical events that are supposed to take place. And then what we do is our mind gets, it's almost like getting that seed of, so okay, this month or that day or this day this is supposed to happen, and then you wait for it instead of being in the flow, because the only really spirit guidance you need in this bigger sense is in the now. What do you feel in this moment? What is the message of this now moment? Because that always keeps you connected with all. It's not, seeing ourselves as, okay, this month we have this guidance, this month this will happen. It can be very limiting. It can be detrimental to our freedom of being in the now. So I hope to see you all soon. Thank you so much for those of you who are guided to support via energy exchange. It means a lot to me, because I really would like to focus on keeping as most of my videos as this for free, except for the courses, and yeah, to be sustained and supported in our totality of all that we are. So thank you, as always, so much grace within the beauty of love, wisdom, and power. I'll see you soon. Bye.